You're probably terrible at communication, not because you're bad with words, but because nobody taught you the real rules, the ones that make people listen, trust you, and remember what you say. Let's fix that. Forget the usual advice about eye contact or speaking clearly. Those are surface level. The game changers are deeper, mental shifts, not techniques. Here's what actually works. Listen to understand, not to reply. Most people think communication is about talking. They're wrong. Real communication starts with listening, not the fake kind where you nod along while planning what to say next, but the deep, focused kind where you're fully present. The kind where you're not just hearing words but catching everything underneath them. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, not just waited for their turn to speak, but actually absorbed what you were saying. Felt different, didn't it? That's the power of real listening. It makes people feel valued, understood, and more likely to trust you. And trust is the foundation of all great communication. Here's the problem. Most of us are terrible at this. We're so focused on what we want to say that we miss what's being said to us. We interrupt, we assume, we jump to conclusions, and in doing so we lose the chance to connect on a deeper level. The best communicators, the ones who persuade, influence, and lead, don't just listen with their ears, they listen with their eyes, their instincts, and their full attention. They notice the pauses, the shifts in tone, the things left unsaid. They know that the real message isn't always in the words, it's in the gaps between them. So how do you do this? First, shut off your inner monologue. Stop rehearsing your response while the other person is talking. Instead, focus entirely on them. Watch their body language. Listen to their tone. Notice when they hesitate or when their voice changes. These are clues, tiny signals that tell you what they're really thinking or feeling, even if their words say something else. Then ask better questions. Most people ask surface-level stuff that gets surface-level answers. Dig deeper. If someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice tightens, don't just accept it. Gently probe. You sound a little off, what's really going on? That's how you get to the truth. This isn't just about being a good person. It's about being a strategic one. When people feel heard, they open up. They share more. They trust you more. And that's when real influence begins. Speak to emotions, not logic. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. All those carefully prepared facts and figures you've been using to convince people, they're worthless. Not because they're wrong, but because nobody cares. That's right. In the real world, where decisions actually get made, logic takes a back seat to emotion every single time. Think about the last big decision you made. That job you took, that person you married, that house you bought. Did you pull out a spreadsheet and weigh the pros and cons? Or did you get a feeling in your gut that just said yes? We like to pretend we're rational creatures, but the truth is, we're emotional animals who occasionally use logic to justify what we already wanted to do. This isn't some new age theory. It's how the human brain has worked for thousands of years. Our ancestors didn't survive because they could recite statistics about predator attacks. They survived because fear made them run faster than they'd ever run before. That same emotional wiring still controls us today, whether we realize it or not. Now here's where most people go wrong. They think persuasion is about having the better argument. They stack up facts like bricks, believing if they just pile on enough evidence, the other person has to agree. But that's not how it works. You can have all the right answers and still lose the argument, because you're fighting the wrong battle. The secret: stop trying to win minds and start winning hearts. Let me show you how this works in practice. Imagine you're trying to get your team to work harder. You could show them charts about productivity metrics and quarterly goals. Their eyes will glaze over before you finish the first slide. Or you could tell them about Sarah, the single mom in accounting who stayed late every night for a month to make sure the project succeeded, and how that extra effort got her promoted. Which approach do you think will actually get people to put in more effort? Stories bypass our logical defenses and go straight to where decisions are really made, our emotions. When you tell a story, you're not just sharing information, you're creating an experience. The listener doesn't just hear about what happened. They imagine themselves in that situation. They feel the struggle, the triumph, the fear, the joy. And once those emotions are activated, the decision is already half made. This explains why some of the most successful people in history were master storytellers rather than fact machines. They understood that to move people, you must first make them feel. A dry presentation of facts might inform someone, but only emotion can inspire them to act. But here's the crucial part. This isn't about manipulation. It's about connection. The best communicators don't manufacture emotions, they tap into real ones that already exist. They find the hopes, fears, and dreams their audience already has, and show how their idea aligns with those existing emotions. So how do you actually do this? First, stop leading with data. Before you share a single fact, ask yourself what emotion needs to be present for someone to care about this. Is it fear of missing out? Desire for status? Hope for a better future? Then craft your message to awaken that specific feeling. Second, master the art of the emotional bridge. This is that moment when you see someone's eyes light up because they've connected with what you're saying on a gut level. You'll know you've hit it when they lean forward, nod without thinking, or interrupt you to share their own similar experience. That's the golden moment when persuasion happens. Third, remember that emotions are contagious. Your energy, your passion, your belief, these communicate far more than your words. If you're not feeling it, they won't either. This is why the most convincing people aren't necessarily the most articulate. They're the ones who believe deeply in what they're saying. Now, does this mean facts don't matter? Of course not. But they play a different role than you might think. Facts are the reinforcements that come after the emotional breakthrough. They're the justification people use to explain the decision they've already made with their heart. The most powerful communicators understand this sequence. First, make them feel, then help them think. First, the story that stirs the soul, then the data that satisfies the mind. Get this order wrong and you'll be talking to empty chairs. Get it right, and you'll move mountains. This is why some speakers can walk into a room and within minutes have everyone ready to follow them anywhere, while others talk for hours and leave people checking their watches. It's not about being more charismatic or having a better vocabulary. It's about speaking to the part of people that actually makes decisions, their emotions. So the next time you need to persuade someone, resist the urge to lead with your brilliant logic. Instead, ask yourself, how can I make them feel first? Because when you get the emotions right, the mind will follow. Silence is power. There's an uncomfortable truth about human communication that most people never learn: minds. The person who speaks first loses. Not loses the argument necessarily, but loses control, loses leverage, loses the opportunity to hear what the other person truly thinks. In that moment when silence stretches between two people, there's an invisible battle of wills happening, and most people surrender without even realizing they're in a fight. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where silence fell. How long did it take before you rushed to fill it? 5 seconds? 3? For most people, even 2 seconds of silence feels like an eternity. That discomfort you feel isn't accidental, minds, it's biological. Our brains are wired to interpret silence as a threat, a social danger signal that sets off alarms in our primitive mind. This is why we scramble to fill the void with words, any words, just to make the discomfort stop. But here's what they don't teach you: that discomfort is where the real power lies. In negotiations, in sales, in leadership, in relationships, the person who can comfortably hold silence holds all the cards. When you learn to sit with that discomfort instead of running from it, you gain access to truths people rarely volunteer. You see their real reactions, not the polished responses they've prepared. You hear what they actually think, not what they think you want to hear. Consider this: every important conversation has 2 layers. There's the surface layer of words being exchanged, and then there's the deeper layer of what's really being thought but not said. Silence is the bridge between these 2 layers. When you stop talking, you create space for what's underneath to emerge. The other person's body language becomes more revealing. Their facial expressions become more honest. And if you wait long enough, they'll often say things they never intended to share. This isn't just theory. It's a technique used by everyone from top negotiators to skilled interviewers. They ask an important question, then they wait, and wait, and wait some more. The average person can't handle this pressure. They'll start talking just to relieve the tension, and in doing so, they'll reveal more than they planned. They'll make concessions they didn't intend to make. They'll share information they meant to keep private, all because you had the discipline to stay quiet. But silence isn't just about extracting information, it's about demonstrating power. In nature, the predator waits silently while the prey nervously looks around. In the boardroom, the most powerful person is often the one who speaks least. There's an unspoken message in comfortable silence: I don't need your approval. I'm not desperate for this conversation to continue. I can wait. That subtle signal changes the entire dynamic of any interaction. The irony is that in our modern world of constant noise and distraction, silence has become even more powerful precisely because it's so rare. When everyone else is talking over each other, fighting for airtime, the person who masters silence stands out. They appear more thoughtful, more confident, more in control. People lean in when they speak precisely because they don't speak often. Now, this doesn't mean you should never talk. The power of silence lies in its strategic use. After an important question, after making a strong point, at moments when you want the other person to really absorb what you've said, these are the times when silence works its magic, creating space for your words to sink in and for their real response to emerge. Try this in your next important conversation. When you ask a question that matters, count to 7 in your head before saying anything else. 7 seconds will feel unbearably long to you, but it's in that space that magic happens. The other person will assume you're waiting because their first answer wasn't good enough. They'll start elaborating, clarifying, adding details they never planned to share, all because you had the courage to wait. This technique works equally well in group settings. In meetings, the person who speaks first after the leader asks a question is often just filling space. The valuable contributions usually come after the uncomfortable pause, when someone has actually had time to think. By training yourself to wait through that initial silence, you position yourself to offer more thoughtful, more impactful contributions. The true masters of communication understand that words are just one tool in their arsenal, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. They know that in the space between words, truth emerges. That pressure builds in silence, and under that pressure, people reveal their real priorities, their actual objections, their true intentions. So the next time you find yourself in an important conversation, resist the urge to fill every pause. Embrace the discomfort. Let the silence work for you. Because when you can comfortably hold silence while others squirm, you don't just control the conversation, you understand what's really being said beneath the words. And that understanding is the foundation of true influence. Keep it simple. There is a secret known to the most persuasive people in history: leaders, visionaries, speakers who moved nations. It is not eloquence. It is not complexity. It is simplicity. Simplicity is the force that strikes directly at the heart. Simplicity is power. When a person stands before a crowd or sits across the table from another and speaks with clarity, brevity, and purpose, they win. They are remembered. They leave no room for confusion, only action. You may believe that intelligence requires complexity. That knowledge is demonstrated by layering words upon words. That longer sentences, grand vocabulary, and intricate ideas prove your worth. But you are wrong. 1,000 words may pour from your mouth, and not one will remain. But a single sentence, crisp and clear, can change a life. The truth is, the more you say, the less people remember. A mind cannot hold a flood of ideas. It holds on to what is simple, sharp, and solid. Every great idea, every powerful message, every world-changing movement began as something simple. Something so clear, so easy to repeat, it could be passed from one person to the next without losing meaning. Not because it lacked depth, but because its core truth was never hidden beneath noise. There is nothing noble in being difficult to understand. There is no pride in requiring explanation. True mastery is when you can strip away the clutter, the embellishment, and the decoration, and still have something worth saying. I want you to imagine standing before a crowd of 100 people. You have 10 seconds. That's all. 10 seconds to make them listen, to make them care, to leave them with something they will not forget. What will you say? What will they remember? If you cannot answer this, you do not know your message. You do not yet know what matters. Let me tell you what matters, one idea at a time, one message, one thought, one punch, well placed, will knock a man down faster than a dozen scattered jabs. The mind is no different. Speak in short sentences. Choose words with weight. Each one must earn its place. Every sentence should move your listener closer to understanding, not further into confusion. Do not fear repetition. Repetition of truth drives it deeper. Say what you mean. Say it again. Say it plainly. There is no need for poetic distractions or intellectual riddles. If your goal is to be understood, then clarity is your only weapon. And if you aim to be remembered, then brevity is your greatest ally. Many people speak to impress, few speak to connect, and fewer still speak to influence. But the ones who do, the ones who lead, who teach, who inspire, they know that the shortest path between two minds is a straight line. They cut the fluff. They remove the excess. They keep it simple. Now, let's talk about you. What is your message? What do you believe in so strongly, so deeply, that you are willing to share it with the world? Can you say it in a sentence? Can you say it in 10 seconds? If not, you must go back. You must dig deeper. You must understand it better. Because until you can say it simply, you do not own it. It owns you. Simplicity does not mean dumbing things down. It means boiling them down. It means finding the essence. Think of a great leader in history. They did not give lectures, they gave slogans. Not because slogans are childish, but because they are unforgettable. 4 words, 3 words, 2. I have a dream. Yes, we can. Make it happen. That is the language of action. That is the language of memory. And yet, what do most people do? They ramble. They explain. They qualify. They soften their message with endless disclaimers, afraid to be misunderstood. But in doing so, they guarantee they will not be remembered at all. They trade clarity for caution. And in that trade, they lose power. You do not need to speak in paragraphs. Speak in bullets. Speak in rhythm. Speak as if your words were a drumbeat, steady, strong, and impossible to ignore. The more you say, the less people hear. But the right words, in the right order, at the right time, those are unforgettable. To reach people, you must speak in their language, their real language. Not jargon, not business talk, not academic speak. The language of real life. The words they use with friends, with family, when they're not pretending to be someone else. That is the language of influence. If your audience has to think too hard to keep up, you've already lost them. And once lost, few ever return. Strip your message down to its bones. Remove every extra word. Ask yourself, if I had one shot, one chance to speak, would I say this? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong. Kill your darlings. Burn the fluff. This is not art for art's sake. This is communication. This is impact. If you want to be understood, you must earn it. You must fight for every inch of attention. Every word you add is a weight, and too much weight sinks the ship. So make it light. Make it tight. Say only what needs to be said, and say it well. Now here is the challenge. Take whatever it is you're working on, a pitch, a story, an idea, a dream, and say it in 10 seconds. No more. Do this and you will see what you truly know. Do this and you will discover what really matters. Because the truth is this: if you can't explain it in 10 seconds, you don't understand it well enough. And if you don't understand it, no one else will either. So keep it simple, or risk being forgotten. Match their energy. There is a force that determines whether people will listen to you or tune you out. It's not your intelligence. It's not your words. It's not even your ideas. It is your ability to match their energy. When someone speaks to you, they are not just sharing words. They are sharing a state of mind, a vibration, a frequency. And if you want to connect, if you want to influence, if you want to lead, then you must tune in. Imagine walking into a room where someone is buzzing with excitement. Their eyes light up, their hands move as they speak, their voice is alive. And then you respond with a flat tone, a blank stare, a slow drawl. What have you done? You've broken the rhythm. You've signaled without meaning to, that you're not with them. And in that moment they feel it. Maybe not consciously, but they feel it. They pull back. They don't trust you, even if they don't know why. People don't listen with their ears. They listen with their whole body. Their eyes scan your face. Their brain tracks the tone of your voice. Their instincts measure your pace, your posture, your energy. And if it doesn't match theirs, the message gets rejected before it even reaches the mind. It's not logic. It's primal. It's human nature. We are hardwired to trust people who feel like us, who reflect us, who mirror us. That's how tribes formed. That's how bonds were built. That's how loyalty was earned. And it's still true today. Whether you're in a boardroom, a living room, or a coffee shop, it works the same way. So if someone's excited, raise your tone. Lean in. Match that fire. Let your words move like theirs. Not fake, not forced, but real, honest, aligned. If someone is serious, bring your tone down. Center yourself. Give weight to your words. Show them you respect where they are. Meet them there. Too many people bring their own emotional temperature into every interaction and expect others to adjust. That's not influence. That's ego. True connection is not about you. It's about them. It's about knowing how to listen with your whole self, to feel where the other person is, to respond in kind, not to mimic, but to match. Think of it like music. Two instruments can only harmonize when they're in tune, off key, and it doesn't matter how beautiful the song is. It sounds wrong, but when they're aligned, something magical happens. The same is true in conversation. When your tone matches theirs, even a simple message feels profound. Even an ordinary statement feels trustworthy. Why? Because now you're not just speaking, they're hearing you. Leaders know this. Influencers live by it. And the ones who move others, who truly move them, do it by matching the moment. They understand that people don't respond to perfection. They respond to presence. They respond to someone who feels like they understand them. And the quickest way to show that is by meeting them at their level. You don't always need the right words. Sometimes all it takes is the right tone, the right posture, the right energy. That's how trust is built, almost invisibly. The other person may not be able to explain why they like you, why they trust you, why they want to hear more, but it's there. It's real, because you felt what they felt, and that more than anything makes them feel safe. So remember this, every person you meet is telling you how they want to be spoken to. Every conversation is an invitation to connect, but that connection only happens when you let go of your own pace, your own preferences, your own pre-written script, and tune in. Match their energy, and you earn their attention. Match their energy, and you earn their respect. Match their energy, and you open the door to influence. Because once they feel you get them, they'll follow you anywhere. Stories stick, facts fade. Let me tell you something, the greatest communicators have always known facts fade. Bullet points are forgotten, but stories are immortal. They live on, not because they are more true, but because they are more felt. People don't remember data. They remember emotion. They remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes people feel more than a well-told story. You may think you need more stats, more credentials, more logical arguments to prove your point. But I'll tell you this, no one ever changed their life because of a chart. They changed because something moved them, something hit them, something clicked, and that something was almost always a story. You want to teach people that hard work pays off? Don't say it, show it. Take them into that moment. The night you failed, the time you nearly gave up, the pain you felt, the doubt, the loneliness, and then show them the comeback. Show them what you did next. Show them the late nights, the setbacks, the tiny wins that turned into something bigger. Paint the picture. Let them feel it, because when they feel it, they own it. This is the secret to persuasion. Make it human. Make it real. A story wraps a lesson in emotion. It sneaks it past the intellect and lodges it in the heart. People may forget the message, but they will remember the moment. They will remember you. They will remember the feeling. And that feeling will carry your message further than logic ever could. You want people to act, to believe, to buy in. Then don't give them instructions. Give them a journey. Don't tell them what to do. Show them who did it, how they did it, why it mattered. Let them walk in someone else's shoes. Let them feel the sweat, the risk, the breakthrough. That is what they remember. That is what inspires. Think of the stories you still remember from childhood. Were they lists of advice? No, they were tales, fables, struggles and triumphs. They stuck with you because they meant something. Not in the head, in the heart. And that's where true change happens. Even in the most professional settings, stories win. Why? Because even the most logical person is still human, still wired for narrative, still moved by meaning. And meaning is born in story. You can throw 10 facts at someone's head, but a single story will go straight to their soul. So here's the challenge. The next time you want to make a point, don't reach for a PowerPoint slide. Reach for a memory. Reach for a moment that illustrates your message. A personal failure, A hard-earned win, a quiet realization. Bring it to life. Use detail. Use feeling. Let them see it. Let them feel it. Because when they feel it, they remember it. And when they remember, they act. Stories don't just inform, they transform. So tell them yours, and let it stick. The rule of three. There's a pattern, ancient and powerful, that lives in the way we speak, the way we think, the way we remember. It's simple, it's subtle, it's everywhere. And when you understand it, when you use it, you'll unlock a tool that moves minds and makes your message unforgettable. The pattern is this. People remember things in threes, not fours, not fives. Three. Why? Because three is the rhythm of memory. It is the perfect balance between too little and too much. One is a whisper, two is a hint, but three is a statement. It lands, it lingers, it sticks. You've heard it your whole life. Life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness, faith, hope and love, blood, sweat and tears. Those aren't just poetic phrases. They're blueprints for impact. The great communicators, the ones who shape culture, policy and belief, know this rule. They live by it. They craft their message in three parts. Not because it sounds good, but because it works. When you speak in threes, people follow. When you present your ideas in threes, people remember. It's not a trick. It's human nature. Our minds crave patterns, and the most natural pattern, the one we're wired for, is three. There's a reason stories have three acts. A beginning, a middle, and an end. It's how we process time, how we track progress, how we understand change. There's a reason jokes have three parts. The setup, the turn, the punchline. It creates rhythm, tension, release. Even your favorite fairy tales followed this path. Three little pigs, three wishes, three chances. It's all the same principle. If you want to be remembered, speak in threes. Now let's make it personal. When you're explaining an idea, when you're teaching, persuading, leading, ask yourself, what are the three pillars of your message? What are the three things you want your audience to walk away with? More than three, and they'll forget. Less than three, and it doesn't feel complete. But three has strength. Let's say you're teaching about leadership. You could go on for hours. You could list 20 qualities. But if you want them to remember, if you want the lesson to last, narrow it down. Break it into three. Maybe it's vision, courage, consistency. Simple, clear, strong. Now you have a framework they can carry with them. Something that echoes in their mind long after you've stopped speaking. This isn't just about communication, it's about influence. If you want to move people, if you want your ideas to live on, you must shape them in a form the brain can hold on to. A form that slips past forgetfulness and into memory. That form is three. Think about a great speaker, someone who takes the stage and captures a room. They don't bombard the audience with complexity. They break it down. They guide you with clarity. And most often they organize their talk around three big ideas, not because they're simplifying the truth, but because they're amplifying the message. It's a structure that gives your words power, and power in communication is everything. Let's look deeper. The rule of three isn't just a technique, it's a mindset. It forces you to think clearly, to refine your ideas, to prioritize what really matters. Because when you limit yourself to three, you make decisions. You choose. You say this is essential. This is core. This is what they need to hear. It disciplines your mind. It sharpens your message. And your audience can feel that. They may not know what you did, but they'll feel the result. They'll nod. They'll understand. They'll carry your message with them. This rule also builds trust. Why? Because it doesn't overwhelm. It doesn't confuse. It respects attention. In a world where everyone is drowning in information, to give someone a message they can actually use is a gift. You don't need to say everything. You just need to say the right three things. That's how ideas grow. That's how messages spread. Now you might be thinking, but my topic is complicated. My message can't be reduced to three. And I'll tell you, yes, it can. It must. Because the essence of your message is never in the clutter. It's in the core. If you can't find the three key truths, you haven't gone deep enough. Strip away the fluff. Burn the unnecessary. Get to the truth. When you do, you'll find that your message gets stronger. Your audience listens longer. And you begin to matter more. Try it. Next time you need to teach something, convince someone, lead a group, stop. Ask yourself, what are my 3 points? What is my stop? Look, listen. What is my show up, work hard, stay humble, build around it, speak into it. Let the rhythm guide you, because 3 is magic, 3 is structure, 3 is impact. You want to be remembered, want your words to echo, want your ideas to live beyond the moment, then master the rule of 3. It's not a trick, it's not a style, it's the way the human brain was built to receive truth. And those who speak in 3s, speak to be remembered. Speak like you're talking to one person. When you speak, really speak, not just to fill the air but to move people. There is one approach that outperforms all others. It's not shouting to the crowd. It's not broadcasting. It's not standing tall and projecting to everyone. The secret lies in doing the opposite. You must speak as if you are talking to one person, just one, the person in front of you. Even if you're addressing 1,000, even if the room is packed, your message must land as if it's meant for them alone. This is not just about tone, it's about connection, it's about presence. Because when you speak to a group, but it feels like a conversation with one person, something powerful happens. People stop analyzing, they stop drifting, they stop defending. Instead, they lean in, they listen differently. Why? Because something inside them says they're talking to me. That's how trust begins. Most people think public speaking means speaking to everyone. They throw their words into the air like confetti, hoping some of it will stick. But influence doesn't work that way. Influence is personal. It happens one heart at a time, one mind at a time. If your words feel like they were made for the crowd, they'll be forgotten by the crowd. But if they feel like they were meant for the individual, then they remember, then they act. The most effective speakers in history didn't speak at their audience. They spoke to them, and the people listening didn't feel like they were watching a performance. They felt like they were part of a moment, a private exchange. Even in a sea of faces, they felt seen. That is the magic you must master. When you speak, imagine you're having coffee with one person, not a lecture, not a sermon, a conversation. No need for grand language, no need to sound important. Just be real, be direct, be human. Because the moment it sounds like you're presenting, they stop feeling like you're talking to them. And when that happens, the message breaks. You lose the thread, and they walk away remembering nothing. But when you look someone in the eye, even for a moment, and speak to them, everything changes. The room fades, the noise disappears, it becomes personal, and when it's personal, it matters. So how do you do this? How do you take that feeling of intimacy and carry it into every room, every speech, every conversation? First, slow down, breathe. Don't rush your words. Don't try to cover too much ground. Give your message space. Let it land. People need time to feel what you're saying, not just hear it. Second, use simple, direct language. Speak the way you would if your best friend was sitting across from you. Would you say utilize strategic methodologies? Or would you say let's try a better way? One sounds like a textbook. The other sounds like you. And that's what people connect with. Not polish, but presence. Third, make eye contact. Not with the whole crowd, with a person, then another, and another. One by one, let each person feel your focus, even for a few seconds. When you do this, they won't just hear your words, they'll feel chosen, and that feeling is unforgettable. Fourth, speak from the heart, not just the head. People don't want perfect, they want real. They want to know you mean it, that what you're saying matters to you, not just to them. Authenticity cannot be faked. You can't rehearse your way into sincerity. Either it's there, or it isn't. And when it is, people know. When you speak like it's a conversation, people don't feel like they're being taught. They feel like they're being understood. And understanding creates the space for transformation. You can give advice, share wisdom, inspire action, but it all begins with connection. And connection only happens when someone feels like the message is for them, not just the room. Even if you're behind a camera, even if it's a video or a podcast, the principle holds. You must speak as if someone is on the other end, one person, listening, needing something, waiting for something. Speak to that person, picture them, feel them, speak to their heart, not to the audience, to them. This is the mistake most people make. They try to speak to everyone, and they reach no one. They use language that's broad, detached, distant. They worry about being impressive, but none of that sticks, because people aren't looking to be impressed. They're looking to be seen. And when you speak as if it's just the two of you, that's when they begin to believe you. That's when your words gain weight. It doesn't matter if you're speaking to a crowd, writing an article, leading a team, or pitching an idea. The rule is always the same. Make it personal. Speak to one person, the one who's listening, the one who's watching, the one who needs to hear what you have to say. And when you do that, something shifts. The energy in the room changes. You're not just a speaker anymore. You're a guide, a trusted voice, a presence. And people will follow you, not because you demanded attention, but because you earned it. So remember this. Whether it's one person or 1,000, speak like it's a conversation. Speak like it matters. Speak like they matter, because to them, it does. And when you do it right, they'll never forget it. Communication isn't about fancy words or perfect grammar. It's about connecting. Start with one of these, practice it, then add another. Soon you'll see people responding to you differently, listening more, trusting more, remembering more.